Alright everybody, welcome back to another Dead by Daylight video. So in today's video, I wanted to talk a little bit about the AMA. Not completely, but one question that was asked and the devs kind of answered that I actually kind of am worried about, and that's about voice lines. So the question that was asked was basically, are we going to get voice lines for the older characters, since a lot of the newer, especially survivors, are starting to get more voice lines. Now, as a lot of you know, I mean Chucky, as you can see from the background footage, as always. So I play a character who is built around voice lines. Honestly, if Chucky didn't have the voice lines, I probably wouldn't play as much as I do. It wouldn't be him. He's nothing without them. But with Alan Wake and Lara Croft coming into the game, we have definitely been seeing survivors get more voice lines, and which can build and add to the personality, which I usually call the Lucio effect. An effect in which voice lines can amplify how the character feels to play, which is true. Vecna has them. Wesker was probably one of the first ones to get them. Singularity has them. A lot of the newer killers seem to be getting them in some way, shape, or form. Even to a degree, Xenomorph has them with the sound effects. It's a little different for Xeno because they don't talk, but regardless. However, a while ago I did make a video talking about how I feel like Chucky's voice lines should be able to be turned off by the survivors. Now, this is something I think should be an option for everybody. I do think that if people don't want to hear the voice lines of the character they're playing specifically, that they should have the option to turn them off, especially if behavior does do what they're saying they're doing and going back to older characters and adding in the voice lines. Side tangent with this, I do also want to note that I do not envy behavior with adding voice lines to these characters. One problem to adding something like this to legacy characters like Dwight, Nia, Claudette, Jake, etc., is that these characters have been around for so long that the headcanons people have had for them have kind of festered a little bit, and people kind of expect them to have a very specific personality based on lore entries and based on other things, and just, time setting in over the course of it, and people getting the way they do usually on social media with characters like this. So the voice lines are going to have to simultaneously be the characters that behavior thinks they are and the characters that the community thinks they are. Dwight being very skittish and nerdy, Claudette being super smart, Jake being kind of like a lone body who would probably be realistically mute the more I think about it, but besides the point. I do think that if behavior does have this in, that we do need accessibility options to turn off the voice lines. Some would say it's not an accessibility thing. I would technically argue it is. It's technically semantics at that point, but yeah. More options are always good, and I think this is something that the Dead by Daylight community has a very hard time wrapping their head around. If the option is there for everybody, it's not a competitive advantage or anything, and I can't see how anyone could argue that turning off voice lines is a competitive advantage. When I'm playing Alan Wake, I don't mind the voice lines, but he doesn't have that many, so it does get a little repetitive after a while, and I really do kind of wish they would get taken off. Chucky, on the other hand, has like 300 of them. Wesker, his are funny and ridiculous enough that they never get old. Singularity, same thing. But then you have like Vecna. I feel like Vecna, even though they got Matt Mercer to voice him, doesn't have enough voice lines or enough witty ones, in my opinion, to make them remain fresh. And because you're constantly cycling through basically the same 4 spells and a lot of the same situations, they kind of just get old after a while, and I wish I could just turn them off. Just maybe for a little bit. And then when I'm playing Survivor, some people say they don't like that Chucky trash talks them, or Singularity calls them a pathetic little worm, which, you could say, oh, well, they can get some tougher skin for that. Some people just don't want to hear it, man, and they want to be able to hear everything else. I think audio is one thing that Dead by Daylight is very reluctant to add features to, as far as volume options, and I don't understand why. Why do we still only have menu volume options and not Bloodweb volume options, voice line volume options? There's a lot of times where I'll pull up a character just to check on their add-ons or whatever, and like Oni, I can't do it because every 4 seconds I'm hearing the roar and things like that. It's just, I don't know. Behavior, I can't imagine it would be that difficult to implement. You would just have to mute it on their end. Maybe it's harder than I think it is, but I really do think there are options for Survivor voice lines if they do get added to legacy characters or other characters going forward, because it seems like you're adding them to a lot of them, which is a good thing. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate you guys doing it. But I would love options to turn them off on both sides. Anyways, let me know what you guys think of voice lines and options to turn them off. Once again, I think that there should be some kind of option for it, but who knows? Maybe I'm the crazy person in the room. Anyways, I love y'all. Have a good one. And yeah, bye.
Subscribe, damn it. I'll be back. I always come back, and so should you, you moron.